Well, Junior, obviously, good debut for your group at Louisiana. What kind of stood out to you?
It was good to get on the field and play a game against somebody else. I think the guys played pretty well. Thomas did Thomas, and it was good to see Ced, come into his first college game and have the performance he has. And we're still not where we need to be by any means, and it's a new week, and looking forward to Washington State.
With Ced, what you were impressed from day one, and now game one you're impressed with them. What most kind of stood out to you Saturday with him?
What stood out to me was just being able to go in there his first college game and to be able to function, to be able to line up and not have any missed assignments, and to make plays. One thing we saw when Ced first got here, which we saw on film, was his playmaking ability to be able to go up and make plays in the air, which you saw that in the first series of the game, we're glad to have Ced here, and we're excited to have him in that room.
I know you were trying not to get the expectations too high with him. You're trying to temper it, but after what we saw,
they're still not. No.
But after what we saw on Saturday, is that obviously not going to have that every game, but is that the type of player he can be for this offense?
Yeah, it is. I think we all, we see it in practice every day, and it's just we want to continue getting better. Ced knows what he needs to work on. We're on him each day about it, and every day is a new challenge for him.
With talking about his first game, his first play, he gets into a third down situation.
It was his first play, huh?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I was curious, I don't know, just to make an impact like that on your very first college play, and then, did it snap? It looked like his snaps went up kind of as the game progressed.
No, we just stuck to our game plan.
Okay.
I wouldn't say the snaps went up, but nobody stuck to our game plan.
How about just, I think he played 9 plays in the first quarter out of 17. He had 6 targets on the 9 plays he was in.
Uh-huh.
Is that getting open? What was that design? What is that?
We have concepts, and whatever the defense presents us, Brett's going to find the open man, and it just so happened to be Ced.
What does that do when you have Thomas on one side and him on the other now for this offense?
I think this, with that group, you got Cedric, you got Thomas, you got Chaz, you got AJ that came in and made a few plays. With all, with those guys on the field, it opens up opportunities for everybody else. Especially with the attention that Thomas may get week in and week out, and they all feed off each other. The cool thing about that group is they all compete against each other. They're all trying to go out there each day to see who's going to make the best play. Who's every Tuesday or Wednesday, when we install plays, they want to know what plays they got. It's good. They're a good group. They keep me on my toes, and we have a good time.
What do you notice in the Washington State secondary? What will be the challenges they'll present this year?
That safety's back in the lineup now. He's a good player. And he makes him go on that back end. He's physical. He's downhill. Obviously, you can tell by watching the film last week against Eastern Washington, they missed him. They play a good brand of defense in that back end, and we're going to keep everything in front of them. And we just got to do a good job of executing when we do get the opportunity, catching the ball, and hopefully running after catch.
They gave up almost 500 yards passing.
Mm-hmm.
What did Eastern do to get all those yardage?
Eastern has playmakers out there making plays. Those dudes played hard at Eastern. You got to tip your hat to Eastern. It's not, it's not the first time they've done that, as we all know. But Cooper Kupp is a heck of a player. Those wideouts, that quarterback at Eastern Washington gave them problems, as we all seen. And it's a different week, and we're going to try to execute what we do.
You talked about you brought up yards after the catch, and
Mm-hmm.
it seemed like in the opener you guys were pretty darn good in those regards.
Yeah, I thought we had some good run after catch. Thomas made a play early in the game, I think it was, and had a good run after the catch. Cedric had a good run after the catch on an out route to the far sideline. AJ late in the game had a catch where he made the safety miss and got vertical. It's all about what we emphasize, and this off season, that's what we've been emphasizing. Is running after the catch. Are we where we need to be? No, not close, but we're making progress.
It's funny. I know we see you guys out there throwing the physio ball at practice, and it kind of looks funny, but there was a couple of plays. It was Thomas's 43-yarder where he got tackled at the one in the first quarter,
Yeah.
and then Ced had one not long after, and the way they made those cuts, it was almost like the physio ball was there instead of the cornerback.
I know. You got to tip. Coach Harsin. It's funny. I think he just got done watching Dodgeball. I think it was, and the movie Dodgeball. And he shot me a text, and then I gave him a phone call, and he's like, "Hey, what do you think about this drill? Throwing bags or balls at the guys. Trying to simulate running after catch." And you got to think about it, man. A lot. Nowadays, I'm not knocking the guys now growing up, but not very many people play tag anymore. Or play football in the middle of the street or in the park, and so we're just trying to create that situation or put them in that moment in practice that every time they catch the ball, they're always trying to make somebody miss and get vertical and get yards after catch.
So Coach Harsin said, I thought it was a joke, but he said that he was watching the movie Dodgeball. When did this conversation happen? Was he literally watching the movie Dodgeball?
I think it took place in like April or May, I think it was. I may have been on the road recruiting.
He said you wanted to throw wrenches, but compliance probably wouldn't let you.
No, they wouldn't let us do that. So what I do sometimes, if you guys notice, I don't just roll them. Sometimes I just chuck it at them. You know what I mean? And it's funny because Austin Cottrell today in practice, he goes, my favorite parts of routes on air are just when you throw the balls at us, and they have fun with it. They're competing, and that's what we want those guys. They're competing. They're working on their craft. They're trying to get better, and shoot. It's fun for me. I mean, I kind of get a workout in. I try to compete with them as well. I'm trying to hit them. When I hit them, I make them do 10 push-ups.
Sometimes it looks harder on you than it does on them.
It's fun. Sometimes I think it's a basketball, so I'm dribbling around. I'm trying to cross somebody. I'm trying to get my Steph Curry on, right?
Knowing the Eastern offense like you do,
Yeah.
and them being their most recent opponent for Washington State, I mean, do you look at that tape and see some things that you could kind of implement?
Yeah, but I think that's what anybody we play. We're always going to look at who they played. When we break down film and and just being so familiar with Eastern Washington and having ties to that program. Yeah, of course. I see the film and I like what they're doing. It's some of the stuff we've done before. They got an offensive coordinator that came that Bo brought in over there. That obviously what he's doing is doing a tremendous job over there. I mean, they played faster. They put some good concepts on film. They did some RPO stuff. I mean, they're doing some good stuff. And I think anybody, and not just Boise State's going to be able to watch that film and pull, get some good ideas. But I think, whoever weeks to come that plays Washington State are going to be able to pull from it.
Did your group get a TD taken from you? Was Thomas in there when he rolled over the guy, or what did you see on film there?
No, I just told him he got hawked. And I gave him promised him, dude, did you get caught at the 1 yard line? He's like, yeah.
Did you have any look at that though? Was he down?
No, we didn't give it. We didn't give it any. We didn't give it any look. I just told him to score. Don't make it difficult, right?
Yeah. How much is that going to push him? Because I know in the offseason he talked about he had more of those than he would have liked last year.
When he came back to the sideline, like, you look like you had a piano on your back. But no, Tom's he's a competitor, and we've been together 3 years now, so I kind of know how to say certain things to him to kind of get under his skin to keep him, keep that competitive drive going. He'll look at me crazy once in a while, but no, I love Tom, I love Chaz, I love all those guys in that room. We have a good group of guys, and they feed off each other, and they love to compete.
With